In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this fall-inspired double-sided scarf, beginning to end. First, we'll talk about the loom. I am using the KB rotating double knit loom. You can use either topper. I am using this topper because my other rotating loom actually has the matching hat for this scarf on it right now, so I just used this one to make the scarf. The yarn, I used Yarnspirations, Caron Simply Swirl Cakes, and Heatwave. It is a number 4 worsted weight yarn, 100% acrylic, and for this project I used the entire cake. And I also got the Caron 1 pound because I'm using the same collar and the matching hat and everything else that's going with it, but I picked the color Succulent, and of course it is a number 4 worsted weight yarn, 100% acrylic. Tools, I suggest stitch markers. These are the ones that KB Loom sells, and I really like these. They fit over the pegs very nicely. You want a crochet hook to weave in ends and to finish up your cast on edge. Loom tool, they do sell a special set that has a double-sided tool for the rotating loom. I did a test and found that it saved me on average about 15 seconds a round on the larger topper. So I like these. You want a pair of scissors. I printed out the chart. The way you read the chart is from left to right and top to bottom. The numbers along the top represent the peg on the loom. So this entire project will be worked between peg 1 and peg 32. From top to bottom is your row if you're doing it in flat, or your round if you're working in circular. So this would be row 1, row 2, row 3, so on and so forth. I find it very helpful to mark the pegs on my loom so I know where I'm at on my chart. Let me find the arrows on here. The arrow will be my very first peg that I use. So I know I'm not going to use the ones right before it. And it is 32 pegs wide, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this right here is peg 32. So what would be peg 33? I put them on the front and back peg. I put them on the pegs on both looms in case they don't line up or you just get confused with something. With the chart, I like to have every 5 pegs marked. What I like to do also is color coordinate that. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So here's 10, 20, and 30. And 10, 20, 30. Guess I could have done the bottom as well. Peg 5, 15, and 25 will have yellow markers. Well, pegs 10, 20, and 30 will have blue. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're not sure, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those match now. I've got a weird floppy ruler here, but I will go and highlight the whole row. But these pegs all match what's on the loom now. The way this pattern works, if you look, the first 3 and last 3 pegs will always be your background color. You can leave it be. Me, I go overboard and like everything super marked. So what I am doing is, since this is the last there. You can, of course, mark right in the middle between round or row 16 or 17 and 18. As you can see, there's 2 empty rows right next to each other. And of course, it's not perfect, but these are, I find, to be very good reference points. You know that this is the end of this one chart, and down here is the start of a second one. This pattern is just done by repeating this chart over and over and over. Our cast on is with the green. So what you want to do, make a slip knot. You have your tail here, twist it in front, pull the working yarn through, and that is a slip knot. You can hook it on any of these pegs over here. You just don't want it on your working pegs. Now I'm going to start up here. I am doing a stockinette cast on, so it's just basically little ziggy zags. I'm going to twist the yarn just to catch it over here. That way this doesn't come loose. Push this first row of the cast on down. Grab a piece of contrast yarn, a piece of scrap yarn. I didn't cut this one long enough, but ideally you want it to be long enough to where you can actually tie it underneath here. The only purpose for this is to separate out this first row. Alright, so for the second row, we are repeating the exact same stitches. Back to your beginning pegs. I always take the very last stitch off first. And then I'll come over here and take that stitch. That way this is locked. It's not going to come undone. You're going to take and knit your bottom loops over your top. Now that the cast on is done, row 1 is another row of stockinette with just the green Now it's time to start our chart. I have a magnet here so I can move it to the row I want and it doesn't get messed up. It is a huge help to me. But I am on row 1 of the graph or chart. There are no X's at all. The X's are your foreground color. The empty squares are your background color. Explain that a little more here. On the side that your yarn is currently at, make a slip knot, throw it on there somewhere. So we started this one. This was the outside. And we did our green, and then we have the orange facing out as our background color. This will be our background color, the orange. So I want that to be the front side, and the green, which will be our foreground color, the leaf pattern on the front side here, will be the green. So I want that orange over top the green. That way we kind of lock that in a little bit there. And it goes around the peg on the back. This comes around the front. We cross it once, cross it a second time, put it to the back. See, it's loose. I can adjust exactly where it's placed. So you cross once, cross twice. This goes over the back one. Your yarn is going to twist as you work. So you can twist it either way. I rotate it. It's going to twist this way, left, then I'm going to twist it to the right. Peg 1, go ahead, bottom over the tops, put that over there. You can unhook that from the beginning now. And if you take the little white strands on both sides and kind of tighten them, it helps to pull the working fabric through the slot here. Sometimes I get mixed up on which row I'm on. This isn't necessary. This is something that I like to do that really helps me out. So on row 1, my working yarn was on this side when I started. So row 2, my working yarn is on this side. So I know it's going to rotate back and forth. So every even one over here. If I get lost while I'm working on the project, I can look and see, okay, my working yarn is on this side, so I know my next row is going to start on this side. Started, you're going to work the same way you just were for the first 18 pegs, and then on peg 19, 20, 21 we are going to switch. I know it is going to be my 4th stitch marker, right before my 4th stitch marker, so I don't really need to sit and count every single peg as I go. I'll just know, okay, yellow, blue, yellow, it's in a couple pegs. We're going to slip the first stitch, front and back loom. What that means is you just don't work them. We're working in a flat panel, and if we skip these and work all the way to the last one, in the beginning of every round we skip the first stitch here, then it gives a really nice edge to it that will look like this, and both sides will match. So again, we don't want to just do like this, we need them crossed. So cross it once, that would put it in the back, so we want to cross it a second time. And we can adjust it where it needs. There's peg 5, 10, 15, and I know 19, 20, and 21 need to be switched. As 15, 16, here's number 17, 18. Now instead of twisting it a second time, just twist it once. So twist it twice, twist it twice, and now there's 18, I'm sorry, 19, 20, and 21. At this point, we can take that slip knot off and put that strand down there out of the way. What I like to do is I go ahead and wrap that back there just to hold the tension on it. And then knit over. That's that cast on string, so it's very loose. And knit over. I'm going to work row 3 with you here. Now we see from row 3 we're going to be starting at this end. So I'm going to be reading it from this way over. But I know that peg 18, 19, 20, and 21 are going to be my foreground collar. A good way for me to know is I know that the previous row, peg 21, was already that collar. So 21, 20, and 19. For this row, I know, okay, it's going to be 4 in a row, starting with the same as last time. And slipping those first stitches. Twist once, twist twice. This is the foreground collar. So I'm going to cross it once, put the orange in the back. Got 1, 2, 3, and number 4. At this point, you keep following your graph. One thing you can do is at row 18, if you want, you can switch out your background collar. That's what I did here. So now these leaves are the orange variegated collar instead of the green. Now what I did was, this right here is one chart repeat. I'm gonna try to hold them so you can see them kind of together. So we got row 1, this right here is row 17, this is row 18, the new collar. Then I finish it out to row 34, switch the collar again, row 1 back at the top, row 17, row 18. I do this 6 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then from there, I just leave it, the orange variegated one as the background and the green as the foreground. But when you flip it over, you can see it is a negative at the front. At this point, just keep working. I kept going until I almost ran out of yarn. So I was able to repeat the chart 11.5 times, which gave me, like, this is a set of leaves and that's a set of leaves. So there's 23 sets of leaves if you count them that way. But it's actually 11 repeats of this 1 to 34, and then I did one more that was number 1 to 17, and then I finished it off. Work till you get to the desired length you want, then I will show you how to finish this up and cast off. Here's peg 18, 19, 20, and 21 of row 3. Now you can still see row 2. These little bars going across. So we can see that this is peg 21, 20, and 19. And then it goes back to the other collar. That's another way to kind of double check your stitches sometimes if you get confused. Before we do our bind off, we want all of the stitches on the inner loom to go on the outer loom, and then you knit over the bottom loop over the top. You will be left with your green stitches on this outside loom. For your basic bind off, you will E-wrap the first 2 pegs and knit over. The stitch that is on the second peg, you move to that first peg, knit over, and then fill in the gap. I'll show you a couple more times. So E-wrap your first 2 and knit over. That's your first part, part 2. Take the stitch from the second peg, move to the first, knit over, part 3, fill in the gap. Pull the tail through that last hoop. Take it off the loom. You can stretch it out, and there you go. There is your bind off. Now to finish off the cast on edge, which we will be picking up all the stitches on top of the white string. You want to have a crochet hook, and what I do is I have 2 stitches real close here. You take the last 2 stitches. Alright, last 2 stitches, and pull the second one through. And take the next stitch. And pull it through. I accidentally pulled part of the string out here at the end, but that's okay if that happens. You can still see there's a loop there, there, and there. And this is the very end. So I'm gonna undo that and pull it through this last stitch. Oh, make sure I get both of those. There we go. So now we can pull the string through. That can be tossed. And here you go. Just take these ends and weave them down in. I'll weave the green in on the green side and the orange in on the orange side over here. And I'll do the same with this one. I'll weave it in through this side. I'll weave that on that side. I hope you guys liked this project and this video. Any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.